Picture this. You wake up, open your laptop, and every hard thought you used to wrestle with now starts with one simple move. You type a prompt into a chatbot. Essays, emails, arguments, ideas, all generated for you in seconds. Now, imagine doing that every day for 3 months. A viral video swears that routine will literally rewire your brain in 90 days. New neural circuits, new mental superpowers, and a quieter inner voice. But what if the real science says something very different and much more unsettling? A creator named Ethan Nelson posted a clip called AI Rewiring. Millions of views across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. In under 60 seconds, he claims a new MIT study scanned 400 people with fancy brain imaging before and after 90 days of daily chatbot use. His story: use AI long enough, and your prefrontal cortex, the planning center, literally dims while pattern recognition regions light up. It sounds like a sci-fi upgrade and a horror story at the same time. But here is the twist no one told you. That study, as described, does not exist. Let us separate the movie trailer version from the lab notebook. Forget 400 brains humming inside multi-million-dollar MRI tubes. The real MIT Media Lab study followed just 54 adults wearing consumer-grade EEG headsets, the kind that read electrical activity from your scalp. No 90-day boot camp, no before and after brain maps on a deadline. Sessions lasted hours, not months, and focused on one thing you do all the time at work or school: writing. And here is the pattern break. The scariest part of the data is not that your brain rewires. It is that it may simply go quiet. Here is what the researchers actually did. They split people into 3 groups for essay writing tasks. One group used a chatbot like ChatGPT to draft and revise. One group used Google Search to look things up, then wrote on their own. And one group had no tools at all, just a prompt and a keyboard. Everyone wrote multiple essays, including policy arguments and creative pieces. Later, they had to rewrite or recall those essays without any tools. Meanwhile, the EEG rigs tracked 32 brain regions, watching how attention, memory, and executive control rose or fell in real time. Now, remember the viral claim: use AI and your prefrontal cortex supposedly shuts down while pattern recognition regions flare up, turning you into a lean, efficient pattern machine. The real data tells a different story. Chatbot users showed the lowest overall brain engagement of all 3 groups. Weaker connectivity, dampened signals in the networks linked to executive control. Their brains looked less like a pilot flying the plane and more like a passenger watching the clouds. In a minute, we will get to what that means for your creativity and your job, but first, we need to talk about this idea of a quieter brain. When researchers compared the groups, a clear pattern emerged. The no-tools writers lit up broad networks involved in attention, working memory, and language. Google users sat in the middle. Chatbot users hovered at the bottom, with activity that looked suspiciously like passive consumption. The key markers were alpha and theta waves, the slow rhythms tied to deep learning and memory. Stronger alpha and theta usually mean your brain is integrating new information, building long-term memories, and recombining ideas. Chatbot users showed weaker signals on both fronts. Less internal scratchpad, less wrestling with ideas, more skimming and accepting. This is where the Ethan Nelson narrative really breaks. His video says AI boosts pattern recognition while dulling originality, like you are trading creativity for sharper instincts. The study did not find any targeted surge in pattern recognition regions. What it did show was reduced executive control. The very system that plans, monitors, and edits your thinking in real time. In the no AI group, those frontal and parietal networks stayed active through drafting and revision. With chatbots, those same regions went quiet the moment the model started generating text. You were not upgrading your pattern radar. You were outsourcing it. So what is actually happening here? Psychologists call it cognitive offloading. Your brain is constantly doing resource management. Instead of burning energy to remember a phone number, you write it down. Instead of memorizing every route, you use GPS. Offloading is not evil. It is often smart. The problem shows up when selective delegation turns into total surrender. In the MIT study, many chatbot users slid from using AI as a brainstorming partner to treating it as an answer machine. By the final sessions, they were copy-pasting paragraphs with barely any edits. Their essays looked polished. Their neural activity looked flat. Here is the part nobody expected. Even as brain engagement dropped, the chatbot essays often scored higher on quality when judged by humans. Better grammar, cleaner structure, more polished phrasing. Participants finished faster and reported lower mental effort. They felt more productive. But when the safety net vanished and they had to rewrite without tools, the cracks showed. Chatbot users struggled to recall their own arguments and structure. The no tools group, who had done the slow thinking themselves, remembered more and could rephrase more flexibly. Efficiency was hiding dependency. This is not just about grades or one lab task. It hits a deeper fear. Are we forgetting how to form an original thought? When researchers rated the essays for creativity and idea diversity, the rankings were clear. Brain-only writers scored highest. Google users landed in the middle. Chatbot users came last. Exposure to better wording did not magically train better ideas when the model disappeared. Heavy AI use seemed to train people to refine, not originate. You become an editor of machine output instead of the author of your own thinking. Zoom out, and you see a pattern we have lived through before. Calculators softened our mental arithmetic. GPS eroded our sense of direction. Autocomplete chipped away at spelling. Generative AI compresses that erosion across writing, research, brainstorming, and even decision-making, all inside one prompt box. Researchers call it cognitive offloading, but if every blank page now starts with a prompt instead of a thought, offloading can quietly become off-ramping. The neural circuits for wrestling with ambiguity and dead ends simply fire less often. And repetition strengthens networks. Disuse weakens them. So, is AI making us lazy, or is it just a new kind of tool? The truth is more nuanced and more in your control than the viral doom says. Offloading routine steps can free up space for deeper work, but only if you keep your brain under load somewhere. Think of your mind like a muscle. If a machine lifts every rep for you, your strength does not mysteriously grow. It atrophies. The same goes for planning, arguing, and imagining. If you let the model handle every step, from idea to outline to sentence, your internal circuitry gets less practice firing in sequence. Here is where your messy, inefficient brain turns out to be a superpower. In the MIT data, the people who wrote without any tools showed the richest neural connectivity across those 32 regions. Dense crosstalk between memory, language, and executive control. That tangled, noisy pattern is exactly what large language models do not have. A chatbot stitches together statistically likely words. Your brain, when you struggle, is weaving together experiences, emotions, half-remembered facts, and weird associations. It feels slower. It looks messier. And that is precisely where originality lives. So how do you use AI without letting it quietly dim your circuits? Treat it as a co-pilot, not autopilot. That means you still do the heavy cognitive lifts. You generate the core ideas. You sketch the structure. You decide the argument. Then you let the model help with options, with phrasing, with edge cases you might miss. You ask it to challenge you, not replace you. Your brain stays engaged as the captain, not the passenger. In practical terms, that might look like writing a rough first draft yourself, then using AI to critique, reorder, or refine instead of starting from a blank prompt. The stakes are bigger than one study or one viral clip. As classrooms, offices, and creative fields adopt AI by default, we are deciding often without saying it out loud which mental skills we still value and which we are willing to outsource. If your edge in the job market is just speed and polish, a machine can undercut that. If your edge is messy, original problem solving, you need to keep those circuits strong. That means deliberately scheduling non-AI deep work, not as a nostalgic flex, but as resistance training for your mind. The future of your brain is not written in some 90-day rewiring script. It is written in how you choose to think today. So, what do you do with all of this? First, do not fall for fake science theater, no matter how many times it is shared. Second, be honest about when you are using AI as a thinking partner and when you are letting it think for you. And third, protect some space where your brain has to do the slow, awkward work on its own. That is where your real advantage lies. If you want more deep dives into how tools like ChatGPT, Google, and whatever comes next are reshaping your mind and your work, hit subscribe. Drop a comment with how you are using AI right now and tell me if you want to follow up on specific strategies for AI co piloting. This story is